Hello everybody, I'm so glad you're here this morning. I'm on the beautiful campus of St. Mary's College in South Bend in Indiana, and I'm talking to my business communications class. But this isn't about business communications, this is about how to make $1 million. Now you're thinking, gosh, that's really hard to do, but quite honestly, it's not. Now who am I? My name is Mark Bradford. I've won several awards. The latest one is a statewide teaching award I received from IU South Bend for creativity and all that kind of stuff. And guess what? You're part of it. So here we go. Is this just about $10? Or is this how to make $1 million? That's what the question is. I can show you how to take this $10, which all of you probably have in your wallets or your pocketbooks, or whatever you guys call them. I can show you how to turn that into, this isn't $1 million, but I can show you how to turn that into this just by some good habits. So is it about $10 or is it about $1 million? Let's see. I'm going to show you how to do it. See that big briefcase? This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is not. This is a slow but sure. It requires desire, dedication, and discipline, just like most good things in life do. Desire, you got to want it. Dedication, you have to stick to it. Discipline, there are other people as you go along life who are not going to have discipline, who are going to look like they're getting ahead. You have to understand the concept of these three things: desire, dedication, and discipline. Basic facts of financial life, except for family and a few close friends, no one loves you. You need to understand that. Very few people love you. I count 20 in my life who love me for me. Everybody else loves my money. They want my money, because if they have my money, they're able to do things that they want to do. I'm going to show you how later how money equals power. But right now, that pizza looks pretty good to me. And it's designed to look good to me because whoever's selling that pizza wants my money. They don't love me. Now, they'll tell me they love me. McDonald's says they love me. Coca-Cola says they love me. Ford Motor says they love me, but they don't really love me. They don't love you. They love your money. So you can see these things here. The world wants and loves your money. Now, that's the first thing you got to understand. And once you understand that, the rest of it becomes fighting for your personal freedom. It doesn't have to do with this as much as it has to do with this. I'm free. I'm poster child for this technique. Okay? Power equation: money discipline equals money saved. You cannot save money unless you discipline yourself in order to save money. And discipline is basically establishing habits. It's all about habits. Number two, money saved equals freedom. If you have money, nobody can come and chase you down because, quite honestly, they don't have a reason to. Okay? Nobody calls you up at 2 o'clock in the morning wondering where your payment is. Nobody looks at your Visa card and says, well, we can no longer extend you credit. Money saved equals freedom. Freedom equals power. And you don't really realize it until it happens to you, how much power you have simply because you have enough money that nobody can chase you down. In my situation, we paid our mortgage off, our house mortgage off. We became debt-free. I was around 45 years old. Nobody can take me away from my house. We paid our cars off. Nobody can take me away from our cars. When we go on vacation, we spend whatever we want to spend. Freedom equals power, and power lets me be me. Lets you be you. Lets whoever be whoever. But it starts with money discipline, and that's what I'm trying to teach you. If you're 50 years old, this might be a little late, but it's never too late to start. But if you're 20 years old, for crying out loud, if you're 20 years old, your future is ahead of you. So much ahead of you. And if you follow, it's so easy. So easy. Let you be you. So let's get to work. There's 3 positive work habits. We're going to cover that in the first section. And we're going to end up with whose money is it? I'm going to ask you that question. Whose money is it? And you're going to know what the answer is in just about 5 minutes or so. Then I'm going to show you in step 2 and step 3, our second and third segments, how to make $1 million on just $10 a day. $10 a day. How many? 10. There you go. Thank you. $10 a day. So here's the best part. It's all on you. Some of you are sitting there going, I don't know what he's talking about. Some of you are going, this sounds like a pretty good idea. I think I'm going to listen. It's all on you. We chose, my wife and I chose, to do this, and it's worked. She has some friends. She's a pharmacist. She has some pharmacy friends, and pharmacists make a pretty good amount of money who, despite the fact they're making over $100,000, which is good money here for South Bend, they have to work extra jobs just to feed their habit, because they have not chased it down. So here they are, 50 years old, and they're chasing down money. They don't have the power. Money has the power over them. So your choice to succeed is all on you. You can make a whole lot of money and still be chased around, make a little bit of money and still have the power. It's all on you. 3 easy peasy habits to start with. This is work. Yes, you got to work. I'm sorry, fact of life, but if you're going to be successful in life, you're going to have to work. First one, if you're working, show up on time. If you talk to anybody who works anywhere, with any young people, the main complaint is they say these people, they don't show up on time. I got to fire them. When they find somebody who shows up on time, the next thing they want is they want to be prepared. They want to be prepared. Don't go into the work hungover. Don't go in looking like you just got out of a bar at 2 o'clock in the morning. Be prepared, look professional, know what you're talking about. It's so easy. And yet people don't do it. And those are the people who are not going to have the $1 million. But you are. You're going to show up on time, you're going to be prepared, and then, be enthusiastic. Love what you're doing. It's so easy to do. Yes, you're going to have bad days. Yes, you're going to have good days, but be enthusiastic about what you're doing. People will not fire you until you're the last person standing if you do these 3 things. Show up on time, be prepared, be enthusiastic. They won't fire you. That's the first step. People won't fire you even if you're your own business person. You got to do these 3 things. People will call you up for more business. Do these 3 things, life gets easy. When life gets easy, people pay you. Well, that pay then becomes your opportunity become a millionaire. But yes, you have to work. I'm sorry for those of you that are clicking off right now. You have to work. Now that you have some money, you got to ask this question before spending it. Take out your $10 bill. Look it right in the eye. I think that's Alexander Hamilton. Isn't it? I don't know. And you go, whose money is it? Millionaires answer like this. It's my money. No, it's not. It's not just my money. It's my money. And you're going to have to take it from me. My money. Now, once you understand that concept, then we go on to the next thing. You got to understand, Mr. Visa doesn't love you. Those of you who love your Visa cards because it's easy cash, Mr. Visa doesn't love you. He tries to make it look like he does. Look at the Visa ads and the MasterCard ads and all those ads, and what do they show? They show you going on vacation. They show you at concerts, and they show you having big parties. You think Visa loves you, but he doesn't. He loves your money, absolutely. So he can buy more yachts. He already has 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, I don't know. But every time that you charge something and then not pay it back on time, Mr. Visa goes, yes, yes. He does it. That means more yachts. Now, whose yacht is it? It's his, because you were stupid. Okay? So you're going to let him? You're going to buy that yacht? I'm not. I didn't. I'm making this sound hard. It's so simple. What's your $10 drain? First thing you have to do, you have to identify what are you spending $10 on. Because I'm going to show you in a few minutes here how $10 becomes $1 million. So you got to identify, first you have to identify your $10 drain. Are you spending money on expensive coffees? What about car payments? I had a guy about 15, 20 years ago, came into me, had a choice between paying cash for a $4,000 car and buying a $25,000 car where he had to make payments on. I told him, man, the $4,000 car, that's a really good car. He was out to impress his girlfriend though. So guess what he did? Bought the $25,000 car, $450 a month in payments. Guess who has his money? The car payment people do. I about hit him when he came into work the next day. Didn't make any sense to me. Car payments, past due credit card payments. This is the one that gets people. Student loans, you guys, or some of you are involved with that. You need to understand what your student loans are and what it is. Expensive cell phone plans. What's the idea of a cell phone? Isn't it just to like talk to other people and maybe text? Why do you guys have movies and music and all that stuff on them? Isn't it expensive plans? Cigarettes, some of you smoke cigarettes, but most importantly, insert yours here. Where is your money drain? What are you spending $10 a day on? You don't have to. What are you spending it on? Everybody, those, I just listed 7 of them. Took me 2 minutes. Everybody wants your money. So they can use it. And what are they going to do with it? Who cares? They have the power at that point. You don't. Now, think about the expensive coffee. What happens, and without getting too graphic here, what happens after about an hour and a half later? It goes down the drain, right? So you spent $10 on expensive coffee, it just goes down the drain, you'll never see it again. Guess who has your money? Think about it. If you don't manage your money, others will end up managing it for you. They'll end up managing you. And that really bites. To me, it takes away my freedom. It takes away my ability to be me. But if you do manage your money, you get to tell Mr. Visa and all those other people, stick it, which is what I tell them all the time. When I charge, I use my Visa card to charge gasoline. You know why? They give me 3% return. So Mr. Visa is paying me 3% to use his money. You know who's paying that 3%? You guys are, who aren't paying your Visa cards back. I get like a card every about once every month or so, gives me $25 worth of free gasoline. I'll take it. Not bothering me. I'm telling him to stick it. He's paying me money to buy gasoline. That's what he can do. I got the power. I got the power. Stick it, Visa. So, what's it going to be for you guys? As you sit here holding on to your $10 bill, going to buy coffee? How about a Big Mac? By the way, how about a Coca-Cola? How about all those things that aren't healthy for you? You're sticking nearby, you're paying you're paying like the energy drinks and the Coca-Colas and stuff, they're like a whole lot of sugar. You're doing something to your body. You're paying $10 to damage your body when you're buying that kind of stuff. Think about it. Water's free. Water's free. Right outside here, the door is a fountain that's got free water. So what's it going to be? Life of debt? Go buy that Powerade drink or whatever it's called. I don't even know. Or a life of freedom, just by making a very simple $10 decision. Begins with one easy question. Whose money is it? Time out. It's my money. And you're Mr. Visa, Mr. Coca-Cola, Mr. McDonald's, Mr. whoever. You're going to have to fight me for it. In short, take everything out that I've talked about today, and all you have to do is decide that you're more important than Mr. Visa is, and that you're going to take $10 a day, you're going to pay yourself first. It's only $10 a day. And in the next segment here, I'm going to show you how that $10 a day becomes $1 million. I thank you for your attention, and we'll be on the second in just a couple minutes. Thank you very much. Good morning again, and welcome to the second segment of my presentation. I call it $10 Millionaire. I'm at the St. Mary's campus in South Bend, in Indiana, and my name is Mark Bradford. And we'll just move on here a little bit. I'm going to just tell you the $1 million formula just using this $10. Okay, if you set aside $10 a day, you only have to do it for 40 years. Somebody in this class, I think I said, I asked them what was old, and they said it was 30. Who said that? I'm forever not happy about that. But set aside for 40 years and invest an average around 8%. That's all you got to do. It's just a habit, folks. And you can do it. Nearly anybody can do it. Whose money is it? It's my money. And when I have the money in my pocket, I have the ability to do anything I want to with it. Okay? I'm choosing to invest in my future. And this is all you got to do, $10 a day. Easy to say. It's also easy to do. You just got to decide to do it. Do you want to be that person that worries about money when they're 60? Or do you want to be that person that's able to sprinkle the world with love? Hand out things like I do, things like I'll tip a waitress $50 on a $10 meal. It's fun. It's an absolute riot. I spend money on goofy stuff, but you know why? I've already put my $10 away. And as I rolled on, I built up other cash reserves. That's what'll happen to you guys too. And all of a sudden you start spending money on anything you want to spend it on. Trips, we don't care. We just spend money on our trips. It's so cool. Easy to do. You just got to decide to do it. And then you have to develop the habits. I'm going to tell you what the habits are. And most importantly, you got to stay with the program. They're especially around age 30, 35, after you've been in the program for 10 years, you're going to have about $50,000 or $60,000 saved up, and you're going to want to spend it. You can't do it. You can accumulate money other ways, and that's what millionaires do. They accumulate money in more ways than one. But you're going to have to say, no, this is money I'm putting away. Stay with the program. So let's take a look at your $10. The one you're holding in your hand right now, several of your options. Here you go. And we'll go through each of the options very quickly in about 3 or 4 minutes. One, you can spend the $10. We talked about the coffee in the first segment. What happens when you drink coffee? Hour and a half later, it's gone down the drain, right? Somebody else has your $10. So if you spend the $10, we'll talk about the results of that as it affects 40 years from now. You can put it in your checking account or in a jar at home. That's a real good thing. Some people put their money in a jar at home because it's safe. Nobody's ever going to come get it. Number 3, you can put it in a savings account, put it in a certificate of deposit, invest it in bonds, or number 6, you can invest it in the stock market. These are the 6 that I'm talking about. There are lots of other investments out there, but these are the 6 that I'm going to talk about. Okay? Option 1, spend it. Drink your coffee, eat your donut, whatever it is. Your money is gone. You've car payment, whatever. You don't have the money to save. It gone. Got 0 money. And someone else gets a down payment on their yacht. Now that should tick you off. I mean, I don't want a yacht. I'm glad I don't have a yacht. Yachts are a pain in the neck. But some people like yachts. But I don't want them taking my money and putting it on their yacht. So whenever I think about spending excess money now, I go, I think this guy's got a yacht. So if you spend it, you got nothing. Now, we all know people who are at age 60 to have nothing. We all know those people, right? That's because they didn't spend they didn't wisely invest their $10 a day. It's only $10 a day. Number two, put in a checking account or in a jar around your house. Meaning, put it somewhere where your rate of return is basically zero. Meaning, you aren't investing it, you're just keeping it. Instead of throwing it away with coffee, now at least you're putting it away somewhere. Put it in a jar, put a checking account where there's no interest earned. At the end of 40 years, you're going to have $134,400. Better than nothing, right? But millionaires don't think like that. Millionaires think, how can I have other people make money for me? Get it? How can I have other people make money for me? Well, let's see. Well, first, I don't put it in a jar. $134,000, that's okay. But I'm going to show you I can make a lot more. Okay, let's put it in a savings account. Banks love it when you put it in a savings account. They love people who put money in a savings account. Right now, savings account rates, I think I'm being nice, are about 0.75% return. 0.75% return. Now, this is what you got to think. Okay, I'm going to give my money to the bank for 0.75% return. What are they going to do with it? They're going to loan it right back to you for a car loan at 7 or 8%. They're taking your money at 1%, 0.75, and they're loaning it back to other people at 8%. What a racket. Now, are you going to let them do that? It's a safe investment. I think savings accounts belong somewhere. But at the end of 40 years, if you're only getting 0.75% return, you got to earn $156,000. That's a growth of $22,378. Over 40 years, you only gained $22,000. Why do you think banks like savings accounts? There's your numbers, 7% versus 1%. You can invest in a CD. A CD is a thing where you say to the bank, well, here, I'll give you my money, and I promise I won't bring it out. I won't get it back for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. You're basically giving it to the bank. And they pay an average round of 2%. Actually, it's less than that. I'm being nice to the banks today. But they take that money, and at the end of 40 years, if they pay you 2%, you've got $206,000, a gain of $71,000. Meanwhile, the bank's been loaning out that money at 7% too. They're making money off of whose money is it? My money. They're making money off of your money. Now, banks are safe. Don't get me wrong. There's a place and time for banks. There's a place and time for CDs. But that's not how millionaires think. Option 5, you can invest in some kind of bond. A bond is where, like, let's say St. Mary's is building another building like this, and they need a little bit of money. What they'll do is they'll send out a bond. And they'll say, we will pay you 4% return. I'm saying 4% yield now. If you give us the money today, we'll pay you out over a period of 7 years, 4% return. And at 4% yield, over 40 years, you're going to have $332,000 versus a gain of $197,000. Now we're talking here. Not bad. But it ain't $1 million either. How much do you guys want? $1 million, right? That's the point of this speech. Here we go. Option 6, invest in the stock market. Well, the stock market over the last 70 years has averaged about 10% return. 10% return. It's 10% interest. That's the key phrase. They average returning to you 10%. Now, I don't believe that. I think that's mush-mosh with a bunch of numbers, but I'm going to use 8.1% for our formula, and I think 8.1% is certainly havable. If you listen to other people, they average 12%. Some people average 15%. But I'm going to be safe and go 8.1%. Over 40 years, you're going to have $1 million, $1,100,000, whatever that number is, and your gain is going to be, look at that gain. How much did you invest? 140? You only put $140,000 in. Every week, $70. Every day, $10. Every week you're putting 70 bucks in. Every day you're saving 10 bucks. You're putting it in the stock market. $878,000 for doing what? Nothing. Taking a little risk, but you haven't lifted one pinky finger other than to make sure that you're depositing the money into your investment account. 10 bucks a day, every day. 70 bucks a week, every week. Habitual. Quit drinking Coca-Cola. Don't buy a car you can't afford. Don't buy Starbucks if you're into Starbucks. That's how you save your 10 bucks. That's how you do it. And at the end, when you're 60 years old, your kid wants to borrow $100,000 from you to buy a house. Guess what? You do it. If they're nice to you. That's why they do it. Save 10 bucks. Up. The same $10. Question is, whose money is it? We made the decision to get the $1 million. We have it. It worked. Thank you very much. Hi again, this is the third of 3 sessions. Again, I'm at St. Mary's College in South Bend, and I'm basically explaining how you can take $10 a day and turn it into $1 million over a lifetime of savings. The first step is decide it's your money and don't be spending it on stuff that other people want you to spend it on. Money is power. You have to understand that. And once you understand that money is power, then it's beginning to accumulate money or whatever is a very easy thing to do. You just have to do the desire, discipline, and dedication. We're going to talk about that here in just a couple minutes. My name is Mark Bradford. I've been I get awards for teaching. Part of what I like to do is I really like to help students. I like to help young people. You guys are bombarded every single day with people who want your money. And so it's very confusing. And it's okay to buy stuff. Don't ever let me say it's a bad idea to buy stuff. But you got to be able to afford it. And to be able to afford it is simply a habit. So we're going to talk about the $10 millionaire again. In this session, I'm going to break down some of the confusing stuff that the investment community throws at you. I'm going to tell you what some of your different options are. And, so it'll be, so that's what this is going to be about. You have to have these 3 things: desire, dedication, and discipline. If you don't have them, well, I don't know what to tell you. Can't help you. Don't want to help you. Because every dollar you spend might end up in my pocket. So why would I tell you not to spend money? So what are the basics? How do I get started? Again, 10 bucks a day. I've showed you how if you invest in the stock market, that will get you your $1 million if the stock market continues to pay the way it has. And I have faith in the American capitalist system that it will. Okay? With the money, you now have the power to make decisions. Without the money, you don't have power. Okay? So money, like I showed on that first session, somehow becomes power. So I'm going to outline 5 things. One is explain to you what the difference is between a traditional stockbroker, because you're going to be buying stocks. When you buy stocks, you're buying pieces of a company. Stockbroker versus an online broker. I'll kind of tell you how that works. Then I'm going to talk about the difference between buying a single stock and a mutual fund, or I'm skipping over the exchange traded funds. Number 3 is what's a 401k and why does everybody love them? Number 4 is what would be a standard investment in a 401k or mutual fund versus an IRA and why you'd want to use maybe those tools. If you do choose to use an IRA, do you want to go into a traditional or a Roth IRA? So I'm going to give you some very beginning level approaches things, but these are the first things. Once you start accumulating money, these are the first things they're going to ask you. You're going to go to your broker and you go, "Oh, you want an IRA or not?" Okay, I think I'll take an IRA. "Well, you want a traditional or you want a Roth?" "I don't know." "Okay, well, I'm going to give you the power to know." Okay, traditional, because quite honestly, that's how I was 10 years ago when I went to my stockbroker, 20 years ago, whenever it was. So let's go on. Traditional broker versus online broker. Online brokers weren't even around until about 15, 20 years ago. Now you can go online, you create your own account, transfer money in, transfer money out. You don't even have to talk to a real human being. Works great for me because I hate human beings and I don't like talking to them. So this works great. So I use an online broker. Trading fees are $9 or $10 every trade. I don't trade much. I'm a buy and hold kind of guy now because I've gotten old, or I've also lost my rear end when I trade sometimes. They don't give you any advice, but there's a whole boatload of advice out there on different websites, and you can find it. And it's like, it's like anything else, something that you're really interested in, you can really dig in deep. But you'll very rarely talk to a broker face to face. A traditional broker is what your grandmother uses and what my mom uses. She has a guy named Jack or Joe or Jim or Jake or Lucy or Janet or whoever. And she goes in and she says, "Well, what should I be investing in?" The traditional broker will tell her, "Well, you ought to be investing in oil now. You ought to be investing in this. You ought to be investing in that." And then my mom listens to them. She pays a higher fee per trade. They get paid because they are providing the service of lots of face-to-face advice, and they provide the research. If you are confused at all by a stock market, you don't want to get involved in trying to figure out who's good and who's not good, traditional brokers are the way to go. If you're like me and you're a bit of a cowboy, online broker is the way to do it. So that's first thing, got to make a decision. Do I want to do it myself? Do I want help? You're going to pay for the help, but it's not a bad idea. Single stock versus mutual fund. When you are buying stock, you are buying a piece of a company. Like I own Apple right now. I'm not telling you to go buy Apple. I own Apple, okay? And so I've got, let's say, $2,000 invested in Apple, just pick a number. If Apple comes out with a really crappy product and the whole thing blows up on them, that thing goes to zero, I lose all of my investment. So a single stock is a very high risk and potentially total loss. I've lost all my money on investments before, on individual stocks. So it's real, it happens. However, if Apple comes out with the next big thing and their stock goes up, then I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumb while my value of stock goes up in that individual stock. So you're buying a piece of a company. There's literally tens of thousands of stocks out there. So you get to pick and choose. What I have chosen to do in my one part of my investment account is I've got maybe 30 different stocks that I own. It's called a portfolio. So not all of my money is in Apple. Some of it's in a variety of other stocks, companies that I own, that I've in theory done research on. Okay, that's okay. So I've created my own portfolio. And every time I make a trade, I pay $9 because I'm an online stock guy. What some people do is they go to what's called a mutual fund. Now imagine this room that we see here full up of people who graduated from Yale, graduated from Harvard, graduated from Notre Dame, graduated from St. Mary's, all the great colleges and universities. They're all sitting in a big room, and they're having an argument over which stocks they should be buying because they're in charge of a mutual fund. And what happens is, again, that door pops open, and in walks $200,000, which is people's contribution to the mutual fund. That money comes in, they're going, "I think we ought to buy more Apple. I think we ought to buy more IBM. I think we ought to buy Ford Motor. I think we ought to sell this. I think we ought to do that." The big arguments between all these people is all done in downtown New York or some other places. And that's what a mutual fund is. You're paying people to argue over what to do with your money. They're all very financial types, and hopefully they make a good decision. They average between 8 to 10 to to 12%, depending on the mutual fund. They are human beings. Not all mutual funds are the same. Some are managed by idiots, some are managed by smart people. So when you're choosing a mutual fund, there will be a whole lot of research done on a mutual fund that you can read, and you put the money in. The best part about a mutual fund is they'll own up to 200 stocks or more, or less, depending on what they want to do. And so your risk is spread out. It's nearly impossible to lose all your money in a mutual fund. At the same time, you're not going to make a gazillion dollars like people have with Apple. So you're giving up the right to make the gazillion dollars, but you're just trotting along. And if you remember, what I told you to do was to invest in a mutual fund. Very safe, average returns of 8 to 10%. It works great. Managed by a dedicated group of managers. They are. Okay, but here's the best one, and here's the one that confuses people your age. What is a 401k, and why do they call it that? I don't know why they call it that. I think they just want to confuse the crap out of you. That's why. So instead of calling it an employer-sponsored mutual fund, they call it a 401k. But here's the deal. It's so cool. In my example, the employer will match up to 3% of your contribution. In my example, you're making $52,000 a year. Just that makes it easy to do the calculations, okay? So you're making $1,000 a week. So the employer's going to match up to 3%. So you have to put in 3%. The employer puts in 3%. It's free money. Hit it. Free money. Hit it. Free money. How many times did I say that? Free money. It's free money. That's why people like 401k so much. All of a sudden, instead of putting in $30, you've put in $60 because the employer's matching it. So your 30 plus their 30 equals 60. How much did I say you need each week to make $1 million? 70. So you're only $10 short. Aha! Millionaire puts in 40. Lets the employer put in 30, and away you go. You can spend your money on whatever you want to spend it on, secure in the fact that you've done your $1 million thing. See how much freedom you have? It's unbelievable. So cool. You paid yourself first. Quite honestly, you don't even see the money. It's in a paycheck. It comes out of your paycheck. You don't even see it. It's gone. It's there. It's being invested by those guys sitting in this room. It normally goes in a mutual fund, and most people will say, and I don't know why all people don't say, but most people will say, always take a 401k if it's offered to you by your employer. Always, always, always. They match it. It's free money. There's your $70. You got your $1 million thing all taken care of. Go buy a house. Standard mutual fund or an IRA. Here's where the questions start getting like a little hairy. If you put your money in an IRA, you can't get it back out without a fight. When you put your money into an individual retirement account, you are saying to whoever you're investing it with, I need this money for a long time, matter of fact, until I retire. So here, take it. I'm just going to put $70 every single week into an individual retirement account. It's just a mutual fund. The only rule is, guess what? You can't get it back unless you pay penalties, you know, that kind of thing. So that's an IRA. But that's not good enough. There are two kinds of IRAs. There's a traditional IRA, which is one I started in, where before I put the money in, I threw the money in, and then at the end of the year, I got a $2,000 tax credit. I don't know, that probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but as paying taxes on $2,000 less, that adds up. Like it adds up to almost $600, $700 I saved. Yeah, baby. That's what a traditional IRA does. You get a tax cut now, but guess what? When you pull that money out, that's when they tax you. So you're avoiding tax now, you're paying it later. A Roth IRA, you don't get the tax break now, but there's no taxes when you pull it out. As soon as we could, we switched all of our money to Roth IRAs because we didn't need the money. Why didn't we need the money? Because we're good money managers. That's why. We knew exactly what we were doing. So we have most of our money going into Roth IRAs right now. Now, that's it. It starts here, right here. It starts with you wanting power over your future. It starts with you deciding you don't need to eat that pizza. You don't need to buy that car. You don't need to do that stuff. Instead, you're going to be investing for your future. It's not about money, folks. It's about a lifestyle. It's about being able to get up in the morning and say, I don't really have to go to work today, but I'm going to because I like my work. It's about saying to your kids, yeah, so you screwed up. Here's a couple $1,000 to dig you out of a hole. It's about being able to, it's this unbelievable feeling of freedom. Yeah, they tempt you with this. But if you look at this, folks, it's all fake. People who chase money down eventually find out the money doesn't love them back either. What you're doing with your $1 million is you're buying yourself peace. And that's worth more than $1 million anytime. Thank you very much. Now go get it.